leadership in sports and how to win with character. Just start with a quick poll. How many of you guys have ever played any sports recreationally or competitively? Oh, that's an awesome showing. That's great. Well, for those of you who haven't, anything you do in your life, like competitive related, working out, running, those all have these same core values and integrated them as athletics does, and those can really be transferred out into your everyday life. Well, thank you guys for being here with us, and I'm James Bethel.
I'm Tom Munn, and I'm a senior captain on the baseball team, and we just want to let you know we will be recording this for our own good, just to let you know. Thank you.
I'm Hannah Derry. I'm one of the captains of the men's and women's swimming and diving team. Today we're going to talk to you about the core values that we believe help us win with character both on and off the field, and we're very excited to share with you today what we've learned through our experiences.
My name is Austin Hughes. I'm a senior on the men's soccer team, and I'm a captain. We just wanted everyone to get comfortable and interact in this. We're going to ask for volunteers, so don't be afraid to step up or raise your hand if you have any questions. We want this to be pretty laid back.
My name is Melissa Boyer. I'm a senior on the women's volleyball team. And again, we just want to thank you for being here. And we ask that for this 1 hour, you give us your undivided attention and maybe put away your cell phones with no distractions.
Hi guys, thanks for being here. I'm Casey Signorelli, senior and captain of the women's swimming and diving team. All right, so today I'm here to talk to you guys about responsibility. Those are our core values that we're going to talk about today. One more. Sorry. Okay, so like I said, responsibility. So my name is Casey Signorelli, like I said, senior and women's captain of the swimming and diving team. And I believe responsibility is so important to anything that you're going to do in your life. Specifically, to be passionate about those things. Any sort of team, organization, club, job, it's important to be passionate. The reason I say this is because if you are not passionate about the things that you're doing in your life, or you're not caring deeply about those organizations, it'll negatively impact you and the things you're doing, the people that work under you, the people that are relying on you. It all comes together when you are a good leader. If you are not passionate about what you're taking leadership in, it's not going to work well. So like I said, swim team. I'm very passionate about my team, my coaches, my teammates, the clubs that I'm in, the classes that I take, and I believe that that helps me be a good leader and take responsibility in the things that I take responsibility in. This not only works with teams, but like I said, companies, jobs, a family, whether you're a parent, your aunt, uncle, things like that. So obviously being passionate has its benefits. Like I said, it'll make you work together as a team, it'll make you a better leader, all these things. Not being passionate though, however, negatively impacts the whole organization. So every dynamic is different. Every team dynamic, family, company, no matter what you do in your life, every dynamic will be different. My team specifically, when I was elected captain, I was handed a lot of responsibility. It was a lot to take on at first, a lot of people looking up to me, a lot of people wondering what to do, but because I care so deeply about my swim team and I'm so passionate about what I do, I believe it helped me lead them in the right direction. So I have a little story to share with you guys. We, as a team, come together towards the end of our season, right before championships, to completely cut out alcohol. And we do this for a number of reasons, mostly just to really help our performance in that tail end of our season. And we make these rules with each other, we dedicate it to each other, this is a promise that we make to each other. And we're in it together, we call ourselves a family, we are in it together, all those things. And we've never had anybody break that promise until this year. We had a number of underclassmen who felt that they didn't want to follow our rules. So they broke our promise, they broke what we had promised to each other, and they drank. We were very unsure as captains what to do in this situation. We had never dealt with it before. There was no protocol, there was no rules in how to go about this. So because there was no protocol, it would have been really easy for us to say, you know what, it was a mistake, brush it off, here's a warning. But because we care so deeply and we're so passionate about our team, we took responsibility and the captains all came together and said, look, we need to take more action here. So we handed out consequences as per necessary, And I think that that really benefited our team in the long run because we set the precedent for following those rules and taking them seriously. And the rest of our team then looked up to us and was like, all right, these are good captains. They took responsibility. They did what needed to be done. We like that. And I believe that the people that did break our rules not only benefited from the physical punishment that we ended up giving them, but from the disappointment that the rest of the team felt. And we all kind of, came together and were like, we're disappointed in you. We were in this together. We're supposed to be a family. We broke our promise. And they were very apologetic and they regretted their decision. So I believe that that really did help us. And because we care so much about our program, the captains, stepped up and we said, all right, here's what you gotta do. So, because you care so deeply about the things you're involved in, that'll make you a better leader. It will help you lead naturally. It'll make you take that responsibility. And I believe that that's really one of the most important things about being a leader and winning with character. Thank you. So now Melissa is gonna talk about communication.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about communication.
Speak louder.
Let me try again. Today we're going to talk about communication.
Slower.
One more time. So today we're going to talk about communication. The point of that was to prove that the way you communicate is so important. I said the same message 3 times, but I only effectively communicated it once. The human voice is a powerful thing. The human voice is the only instrument that all of us in this room are able to play. As my first point states, effective communication is the key to success. It is what you build every relationship in your life on. Every relationship started with a conversation, and whether you have a positive encounter or a negative encounter, that impacts the relationship you build with this person for the rest of your life and everybody in your everyday life. Being an effective communicator means that you are speaking accurately and clearly. You need to be able to get your point across to whoever your audience is and then being able to fully understand it. Since we're talking about winning with character, I think there's 3 very important characteristics that come with communication. The first is honesty. You need to be clear and straightforward. The second is authenticity. You need to truly say what you mean. You need to believe in what you're saying so others will believe in you. And the last is integrity. Your words need to be able to be trusted. If your audience cannot trust what you're saying, then they might be more reluctant to understand what you're actually trying to say. So as we all know, there are different forms to communication. There's verbal, nonverbal, written, visual, and these are a part of your everyday life. As much as they're a part of your everyday life, they're a part of your personal life and your professional life as well. As we are athletes, we have always worked with a head coach. The head coach is very important to get their message across without any misunderstanding. Being a part of a team, there's many different personalities on a team, and these personalities could cause different people to understand the message being relayed differently. So as a coach, you really need to focus on getting the message across to each and every player and being sure that what you're saying is clear and accurate. As some of you may not have been a part of a team with a head coach, you can relate because you are the head coach of your own life. You can communicate with yourself and others effectively and clearly to get your point across. So my second point is about active listening. Active listening is very important in communication. Studies show that 60% of communication is listening. And we're not very good at it because only 25% of what you hear is retained. So that's something that I think everybody is always constantly working on and growing to be an active listener. I can tell from looking at the audience who's engaged, who's sitting forward, who's making eye contact. That just shows who's being an active listener. And I appreciate the active listening. Conscious listening leads to understanding. So if you are working on your listening skills and really focusing on what they're saying, then you'll have a better understanding of what's being communicated. If you could be the best communicator in the room, but if your audience is not listening, the whole process of communication as a whole is a fail. And lastly, there are barriers to communication. Usually we're unconscious of these barriers. You don't think every day when you're saying something, oh, this barrier, that barrier, it just happens naturally. They could be language barriers, or someone's unfamiliar with the terms you're using, or they have a different viewpoint than you, or they're not interested. These are all barriers that make communication ineffective. I think a huge barrier to communication that we can all relate to is our cell phone. It is such a part of our daily life, and almost all of our communication throughout the day happens through the phone. It is very easy for a message to be sent and to be perceived in the wrong way without the intention that it had. It's hard to tell how somebody went to communicate something without tone of voice or body language. Going along with that, I think social media has a huge part in effective communication. We as athletes have to be very conscious of what we're putting up because it's so easy for someone else to interpret what you put on social media in a negative way or in the way that you weren't intending it to be interpreted. So I think the best way to avoid ineffective communication is to put the phone down and have a face-to-face conversation. I'm sure you hear that all in your life, and I'm preaching to the choir, but I really truly do believe that face-to-face conversation is what makes communication so effective. So we're going to do a little activity that works on teamwork and communication. So if I could have like maybe 10 volunteers, please. Come on up. Anybody? It's fun. Get involved. Emma, come on, please. I'm sorry, I only know one. Yeah, come on. Stand in a line. A few more. Ooh, that's bright. Okay, thank you. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna get in birthday order with January over here and December down there without talking. You have 3 minutes. Think we have it? Okay. So if you could all just say your birthday so we can see if you actually successfully completed the task.
January 10th.
January 25th.
March 14th. May 10th.
June 6th. June 10th. June 27th.
September 28th.
November 26th.
There we go. Congratulations. So before you guys sit down, what do you think you did well?
Use our hands.
Use your hands. There's a lot of nonverbal communication, right? I think you worked well as a team. Everyone had to contribute. If one person wasn't contributing, then it wouldn't be successful. Thank you. So just my last point is that communication is an ongoing process and something that you can be better at every single day. Same with listening. So to be a good leader, you need to continue to adapt and react to situations and better your communication skills. So now we have Austin, who's going to talk about respect.
All right, so like Melissa said, my name is Austin. I'm on the men's soccer team. I'm going to be talking to you guys today about respect. So the first thing is respect is something that is earned, not something that is given. I'm sure you guys have heard that in your life a bunch of times. It's so true. As a student athlete advisory committee, we believe in this so much because we had to earn the respect from our teammates and our coaches, athletic director, all the staff in athletics, and everyone else around us to get to where we are today, to be on the student athlete advisory committee and team captains. So for that to happen, we had to be the most respected on our teams. It's not something that happens overnight. This takes time. So in this case, it took a couple of years to gain everyone's respect. So like Casey was talking about earlier, being a captain, it's not something that's simple. Everybody wants to be a captain, but once it happens, it's actually pretty tough. You want to be the person on top in the locker room, but it's really not simple. You get in those type of situations, and having respect from both parties is extremely hard to balance. So I'm going to tell you guys a story on how I had to earn respect in my life. So when I was a sophomore, I was 20 years old, so just 2 years ago, I was the head coach of a youth soccer team, back in the Albany area. And you guys know how much money youth sports can cost. So when people came the first day, they see a 20-year-old coach and they know that they're going to spend a couple $1,000s on this. It was really, like, you could tell that they're kind of nervous that they have a young coach. But this is where I knew that I had to show them that I could earn their trust and their respect, and that they were safe in my hands, and that I had knowledge of the game. During this same time, I heard this saying that has made me the person I am today. I truly believe it. It was, are you a college student or are you a young professional? And that stood out to me like crazy, because you guys are probably all thinking, yeah, I'm a college student. But yeah, you're a college student, but that only lasts for 4 years. So why not work on becoming a young professional while you are a college student? That way it's so much easier in the real world to become that young professional as soon as you're done. You'll network, you'll meet a bunch of people that's gonna make your professional life that much easier. So back to that story, it was a great year of coaching. I could tell that I earned everyone's respect. By the middle of the year, I had a bunch of parents come up to me and ask if I could train their kids individually. And when I came back to school, I would get a bunch of emails asking if I was still coaching. I was like, no, I'm back at Oneonta, I'm sorry. They're like, let us know when you get back and we'll come right to your team. We don't really care how good you guys are. And that was such a great feeling for me, knowing that I made an impact on people's life at such a young age as a coach. And still to this day, I have people that come up and watch my game from the Albany area. Like, all the little kids will run up to me after the game. It's such a great feeling knowing that I made an impact on them and I gained their respect even when I was a young coach and there were so many older coaches around in the area. So respect always, you need to respect everyone. I think you guys all know that. You probably heard it like every single day. You never know who you're gonna come across. You never know who you're talking to. A lot of the world we live in today is networking. So you're gonna come across somebody, have a conversation, earn their respect, and that could lead to something further in your life. A lot of jobs come from meeting someone, networking, and becoming close to them and building a relationship. And for us here, we think that respect is extremely important, obviously, and that's really all I have. And I'm gonna pass this over to Hannah and Tom, and they're gonna talk about empathy.
Okay, so I'm Hannah. I'm on the women's swimming and diving team. And the next topic that Tom and I are going to cover is empathy. The fast-paced society that we live in today leaves little time for the important things in life, important things such as having empathy for others. I'll be the first to admit I'm quick to judge at times when I really should have been empathetic towards other people. I've always been a firm believer in tough love, something that many of my coaches have instilled in me over the past 15 years as an athlete. After being appointed captain of the swimming and diving team this past season, I've had to learn how to trade that tough love mentality in for empathy at times when appropriate. There's been one particular individual on my team who's opened my eyes to the way that I react to situations. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to refer to this individual as Mark. Mark is a freshman on our team this year, and from the beginning, he's been someone who likes to cause a lot of problems. As a captain, it's been my job to address these problems and attempt to fix them in any way that I can. After confronting Mark on multiple occasions, you could say that I made little progress and that we both ended up more frustrated than we had started. In search of a solution, I took the issue to my coach, who sat me down and explained that Mark did not have the easiest past, and he did not come from the same loving and supportive family environment that I did. Immediately after hearing what she had to say, I felt guilty for reacting the way that I had, and for not trying to figure out why Mark had been acting out the way that he was. From then on, I began to change the way that I reacted to situations as a team captain, and I immediately saw a difference in Mark's behavior. He stopped yelling, talking back, and eventually even began to do what I had asked of him. I was amazed at how drastically Mark's behavior had changed by me simply showing a little bit of empathy. The power of empathy is truly underrated, and it's something that can help all of us win with character, both on and off the field in everyday life. Now, Tom is going to bring us through a few scenarios.
Thanks, Hannah. So I'd just like to reintroduce myself. My name is Tom Bond, and I'm a senior captain on the baseball team. And today we're going to go through some real-life scenarios where you can apply empathy to just a couple of examples. One more. But first I want to kind of open up with an example that we can all get behind, where we can show empathy to, and that's public speaking. I'm sure every single person today, if I came up here and I struggled, you'd be able to sit in your seat and know exactly how I was feeling. Just because we've all done it. Public speaking is not something you're born good at. It's something that you have to work and get better at. Now, not every single time you come through a scenario you have to be empathetic is going to be easy like public speaking. There's going to be a time where you're either driving to work or driving to campus and you're late and the car in front of you is either slow or you get cut off and you're saying all these things to that person in front of you because you're angry. But it's up to you to be able to understand that maybe that person is going through something as well. Maybe that person has to rush to the hospital. Maybe that person is also going through a ton of issues during their day. And although it might not be very critical for you throughout the day, because once that moment passes, you're never probably going to see them again. But as a leader, you're going to be going through a lot of times where showing empathy towards your coworkers or your teammates is extremely important. So for the scenarios today we're going to go through, is one's going to be sports related and one will be business related. So all I ask is that you get in pairs, and then we'll take the next one, 3 or 4 minutes to go through it. So I'll read the first one. You're a coach and need to talk to a player who has underperformed their last 3 games. So in this scenario, one person is going to be a coach, and they're going to have their player come into their office, and the player doesn't have to say anything. Just as the coach, talk about what you would do in that scenario to the person. And the next, you'll switch roles for the business one. The player will become the sales manager and the coach will become the associate. And you're a sales manager and you need to address an associate who has missed their target line in sales for the second quarter in a row. So just take the next 4 to 5 minutes to talk to the person next to you and go through these 2 scenarios. You can go to the next one. And then just leave it there once I go to the first one. Yeah. All right, has everyone had the opportunity to go through the scenarios? Does anyone need more time? Now, all I ask is, can I have a volunteer who was the player in the first scenario that had a positive experience? Or negative? Any volunteer? No?
I was the player and I had a very positive experience with Casey. She was very empathetic and, was saying that how I reacted would determine her reaction. So if I told her that, I'm not performing because I'm going out and getting drunk every night, that she probably wouldn't show as much empathy as if I was saying I'm really stressed with school and schoolwork and I have a lot going on, that's when she would show a lot of empathy. So I think it is important to be empathetic, but also it's important to hold people to a certain responsibility.
That's good, that's great. Can we have a volunteer for maybe the second scenario? Where they were the associate? Anyone? One person? Hey.
Should we stand up?
Yeah.
Wait, you want to reenact it? Or?
We could do a reenactment, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So I was the sales manager and this was my associate. So, hello everyone, my name is Louis. My name's Cam. So, alright. Louis, what's going on, man? How's it going? Your sales have been a little bit down. Is everything alright at home? Not really. My wife's pregnant and she's been a little sick lately, so I haven't been really focused on it. Oh man, that doesn't sound great. Have you been to a doctor? Have you seen it's okay? We've been trying to go to a doctor, but my schedule at work has been a little hectic and I don't know if I can afford it at the time. Alright, that sounds definitely stressful. How about you take a good week off? If you need any help financially, we can help you there, and then once you get back, you'll be less stressful and hopefully get your quota back. Thanks,
That's awesome. See, that is the exact thing I was looking for, because I think in today's society, what you might have seen is a boss calls in the person and says, listen, your sales have been down 2 quarters in a row. If you don't get it up, I can't guarantee you job security. But instead, that was perfect, where you guys were talking about you're building a relationship based on how are you doing, can I help you? You're offering a hand instead of just saying, I just want to focus on the results you're producing, and that was perfect. And the reason why we took you through this scenario today, number one is for the perspective of having either side of the table, being in the leadership position and being in working for that leader. And this is particularly important for a leader because people are going to come to you for help. They're going to come to you with their problems. And it's ultimately your job to hear them out, see it from their side of view, lead them in the right direction, and ultimately build that relationship with them that's going to mean a lot more. And that goes into my second point, where we mainly just focus on a results-driven society right now. We focus on winning, 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 and how to prevent losing. It's not focusing on who's actually doing the winning or losing. And by building the relationship with your coworker or with your teammate is extremely important, because if you're only focused on winning, that can put a huge strain on the relationship. So now I was hoping for maybe a little older crowd today based off this question, but how many here have a kid? A couple, 1 or 2, but all of us eventually will have a kid one day. And now if your kid came home and got an F on his test, you wouldn't sit them down and say, well, if you get another F, I'm gonna kick you out of the house. You most likely would do anything possible to help them do better in school. And now this same empathy can be used in your everyday relationships. And if you can take that same empathy you use with your brothers or your sisters or your sons and your daughters, and you could use that with your coworkers or your teammates, you could ultimately build a more trusting, a more accepting, and a more empathetic environment for your team. And this is just one of the many ways that we win with character here at SUNY Oneonta. So for me now, I'm going to pass it over to James Bethel. For some of you that don't know him, he is a 2-time All-American and is currently 2nd in the country at wrestling. So he's going to talk to you guys today about his commitment to his craft.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, everybody. James Bethel. I'm the senior men's captain of the wrestling team. And I just want to talk to you guys about what I believe commitment means. I view commitment as kind of like an all-encompassing term that really can cover most aspects of life. For the purposes of this presentation, I want to talk about commitment in the form of goals, diligence, and the process to excellence, and commitment to self. So commitment, I'd say goals, because to be committed to something, you have to have a long-term or short-term view on what you're being committed to. I have to break down to a long-term and short-term goals, because that's how you really effectively you can reach that commitment and you can do what you need to do to achieve it. For long-term goals, I have to put it in an abstract concept, something that you can continue expanding upon. So for my long-term goal, I want to be better. That is simple, cut and dry, because when I get better, I can still be better. I can continue striving for that long-term goal. And for my short-term goals, I like to use called the SMART acronym for goal setting. So your short-term goals should be for SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, relatable, and time-bound. And they should also, in that turn, reinforce your long-term goals. So if I want to be better as my long-term goal, my short-term goal, I say maybe I go in the room and I want to get better cardio, my lungs be healthier, I want to feel better. So I'll go for my short-term goal, I'll say I'll run 3 miles a day every day until I feel better. And then I'll reset my short-term goals to reinforce my long-term goals so I can reach my commitments. And coming off these goals as well is the idea of diligence, which I found is is persistent work and effort towards those said goals. And I said earlier how like diligence is when these short-term goals that you set for yourself reinforce your long-term goals, and it really helps you be committed to what you want to be committed to. And I will talk about the process of excellence, which is basically just it's continuing off that commitment. To be better, you have to act better. To be a champion, to practice like a champion. But it goes further than that. To practice like a champion, you have to act like a champion. You can't just say, I want to be good for this small period of time. I want to be excellent. I want to be a champion today. To be a champion today, you have to act like a champion yesterday, and so on and so forth. So it's the difference between it's the difference between doing a good thing and being a good person. Difference between acting like a champion and practicing like a champion. And it kind of continues with what I like to call the process of excellence, which is just continuously just doing things just to better yourself. And I kind of want to close off on the idea of commitment to self, and that's commitment to your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, and your future self. Your long-term goals should benefit you in all of these aspects, because to be excellent, you have to feel excellent, act excellent. And your body is, at the end of the day, your body's a machine. You want to make sure all your cogs, all your gears, and all your levers are well-oiled and are working together well. And I kind of want to close out in this. A lot of people, they say, want to be committed to something. They don't really understand the full aspect of commitment. It's not always easy. It's difficult. Being committed to something, you have to make sacrifices to change things about yourself in order to achieve those short-term goals, achieve those long-term goals, become excellent. So I can share with you a little story about how I really came to understand commitment as I do today. When I was in high school, I was an average wrestler. My sophomore year, I didn't make it out of the section. My junior year, didn't make it out of the section. But I decided my junior year to become committed to the sport. I wanted to be better. I was tired of losing. So I committed myself to the sport of wrestling. I committed myself to the idea of being better, of being excellent. So what I did is I made sacrifices. I changed things that I needed to change that I could. Kept myself healthy, kept myself feeling well. And I went out, I did five days a week. I do 2 hours of practice during the regular season. I do 2-a-day practices. I was always striving, reinforcing my short-term goals to reach my long-term goals. I want to be better. When I got to college, I continued that, expanded on it, and I learned, okay, like I don't need to practice, like I can't just practice like a champion to be better, I need to act like a champion. So what I did is I started taking what I was doing inside the wrestling room, being committed to wrestling, and expanded it. I wanted to be committed to being a better person. Started becoming involved, community service, trying to expand my base as an individual. And it was a difficult process. I gave up things. I haven't had a drink in 3 months, but you know, it's worth it. I'm reaching those goals. I'm reaching my short-term goals. I set a new one every single day. Reach a short-term goal every single day, and it makes that long-term goal seem not so far away. Oh, well, I want to thank you guys for sitting here listening to me. I'm going to pass it off to Melissa for our final remarks.
to wrap up, again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and listen to us speak. We highlighted 5 core values that we think are very important to win with character. However, there are many, many characteristics out there that will allow you to win with character. Over the past 4 years, we have grown as athletes, as people, and these characteristics you need to develop over time. But it doesn't end here. I'm proud to say that I will be able to win with character after graduation as a job as a corporate analyst with JP Chase in New York City. So, thank you. We all have different paths that we're going down, and we're going to continue to win with character throughout our life. Thank you. And does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Being a leader on one of my sports teams, sometimes I find I'm struggling if I'm having a bad day. I find it difficult to lead my team because I'm not feeling like I want to deal with my responsibilities. I'm not feeling committed, and I'm feeling unmotivated. How would you use these characteristics to help that day specifically to help lead your team to success when you're not feeling it yourself? Good question. Thanks.
Well, I would kind of start off, everyone has those days. You wake up in the morning, you work on the wrong side of the bed, you kind of just want to, no, I'll take today off. But at the end of the day, you made your commitment to your team, you've been working hard your entire season, and what's one bad day in contrast to, 4 months of practice, 4 months of hard work, 4 months of dedication, 4 months of commitment to your team. And at the end of the day, if you could shrug aside those negative feelings, that anxiety, or that's kind of I just feel down today, and just instead of take it off of you, just put it on your team. I'm not having a good day, but how's my team feeling? Just take the focus off of you and just think about your team as a whole. Think about your coaches, your friends, and just kind of push through, if not for yourself, for them. Any other questions from the crowd? Nothing? All right. Thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate it.